Your video for tonight is about two-way frequency tables, and so make sure you write that title down, take good notes, and we'll go over it more tomorrow in class. But here's some definitions and examples. First, vocabulary, two-way frequency table. It's a useful way to organize data that can be categorized by two variables. And you can see these are two examples. Pretty common. You've probably even seen some of these before and haven't known necessarily that it was a two-way frequency table. But you can ask a lot of questions, show a lot of data from a two-way frequency table. Basically, how many ninth graders was math their favorite subject? You would say 10. How many 10th graders was English their favorite subject? You would say 11. So on and so forth. How many right-handed females do you have? You got 46. Many different examples that you can use from two-way frequency tables. So next slide is, this is a couple of vocabulary words within frequency tables. So first you've got joint relative frequencies, okay? And so joint relative frequencies, you can write the definition down and that is going to help, but in particular that is these values right here. Those are joint relative frequencies, okay? And so the definition is we take basically this number 3 and we do 3 divided by, I think there's 20 overall. There's 20 total, so 3 divided by 20 is 0.15, and that number is going to go right there, okay? And then we've got, 8 divided by 20, and that number is, 0.4, and 0.4 is going to go right there, and so on and so forth. So basically, you're kind of getting percentages for adults that said yes, and then adults that said no, so on and so forth, okay? And so that is what joint frequencies are, and then we have what we call marginal frequencies, marginal relative frequencies, and those are just each column and row added up. So when we add up this column and we add up this column, it's going to be these on the bottom, and when we add up the rows, across the rows, it'll be these on the right-hand side, and you should always have a 1 in the bottom corner, okay? And so that's just literally marginal means the margin, right? It's the bottom margin and the side margin. And joint is like in particular, the numbers that make up the rows and columns, okay? So that's joint relative frequencies and marginal relative frequencies. And that's what we do as we make these. So first off, let's do an example. Let's do 2 examples. Finding joint and marginal relative frequencies, okay? And let's talk about what are the tables and the results of this. 80 randomly selected high school students who were asked if they prefer math or English. Make a table, the joint and relative frequencies. So the first thing we want to do here is divide each column value by the total of 80 to find the joint frequencies. So we're going to literally take 10 and divide it by 80, okay? And when we do that, I think we get 0.125. And we're going to do that for each column, okay? So then I would do 12 divided by 80, and 11 divided by 80, and 8 divided by 80, okay, for each column. And we're going to see what values that we get. 12 divided by 80 is 0.15. 11 divided by 80 is 0.1375. 8 divided by 80 is 0.1. So on and so forth, okay? And so you will get these values right here is what you should get. And so this is what your columns will look like. First, you get these, which we had from here. This value comes here, so on and so forth, okay? And then once we do that, we can add up each column, add up these 2 columns to be this one, add up these 2 to be this, so on and so forth, and we fill out what we call as the marginal frequencies, okay? So that way, if we want to say what's the total number of 9th grade students out of the total, we'd say, 0.275 or 27.5%. What's the total 10th grade student survey? 28.75%, so on and so forth for each column, okay? So that's one example here. Let's do one more example. And what we're going to do out of this is make a table showing the joint and marginal relative frequencies, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is total up the total and figure out how many total people are in the example. 28. So I get that there's 210 total books in this example. And so I'm going to take each one and do 28 divided by 210 and do each one divided by 210. Again, 0.13. And then I do 52 divided by 210. 94 divided by 210. And 36 divided by 210. Okay? Now do each one to get, and I'm going to round to the 10th place. Okay, and to get the value of each one. So my new chart will look similar to the one before it. Okay, I'm going to have fiction and nonfiction, fiction, and nonfiction, just write that. And then we have, what was at the top? We have hardback, and paperback, and we have some rows and columns, and okay, and then we're going to have margins out here, okay, and we're going to have totals at the bottom as well. Okay, and so I'm going to literally put these in the exact column they were in: 0.13, 0.25, 0.17, and 0.45. And then we've got total. We'll always have 1 down there in the bottom, and we're just going to add up as we go. Okay, so we get 0.38, and then 0.45. 0.62, and those will add to be 1, so that's right. Then we have 0.58, and then we have 0.42. Okay, so that is a good example of what we're doing tomorrow, talking about two-way frequency tables as well as joint and relative frequencies. So good example for you to study. Make sure you take good notes and write them down.